Red. Tunakuona.
Ni kitu imeclick bila.
That's why I close my.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I just wanted to make sure that we are all muted, and now that we are, good afternoon and welcome to Vetifly
This meeting is being recorded.
Thank you very much for taking time out to join us today. My name is Mutuka Bandari, Marketing Manager at Vetifly. A quick introduction to who we are, right? Vetifly is a mobility tech company innovating around the mobility sector to provide a faster and more efficient way for people to move. One of the core. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I just wanted to make sure that we are all muted, and now that we are, good afternoon and welcome to Vetifly. Okay, sorry for the feedback. Like I said, we're a mobility tech company innovating around this sector to be able to provide a faster and more efficient way for people to move. At the core of our existence is the need to actually empower people so that they can have more time, or so that they can spend more time doing the things that they truly value in life. Currently, we're in existence in 3 continents, and we're continuously spreading our vision to become the mobility innovation hub of the world. And that's why we created the Vetifly Innovation Series, because we are constantly seeking out opportunities. We're constantly looking for answers to the hard questions that we keep asking ourselves from time to time, right? Today, we're going to be looking at a very, very important topic, and that is pretty much how commuting can help businesses, right? How innovations around commuting can help businesses become more agile. I'm going to quickly introduce our speakers. First of all, we have Professor Ndubisi Ekekwe. He's a renowned professor, inventor, and entrepreneur with interest in research and technology disruption initiatives. He brings over 20 years of experience in technology to us today. And as an academic, he has taught in quite a number of institutions like the Carnegie Mellon University, Babcock University, and Covenant University. He also served in the United States National Science Foundation, ERC, E&D Committee, and he writes for the Harvard Business Review. Professor Ekekwe is a recipient of the IGI Global Book of the Year Award. He's a TED Fellow, IBM Global Entrepreneur, and World Economic Forum Young Global Leader. His reputation precedes him, actually, and he is the founder of the African Institute of Technology and is selection board member of the 100 Billion Tony Elumelu Entrepreneurship Program. Currently, he serves as the chairman of Famisco Group. This is also the holding company of Techidia Capital, a venture capital company with investments in startups across 4 continents. Today, it will be defining what it means for businesses to be agile in today's world and how they can successfully position to achieve this in all areas of their businesses. Hello, Prof. Lovely to have you on this call.
Thank you so much for that generous introduction. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. We also have Abiodun Olaleko on the call. Abiodun Olaleko is the country manager at Vetifly. He is a passionate insight provider with years of experience working with world-class consultants and market research agencies. He has vast experience working with book quants and core data from Kantar World Panel, AC Nielsen, IRL Symphony, Ipsos, Millward Brown, and Don Omby, just to name a few suppliers. He consistently delivered actionable insights while he was at all of these places, insights that have helped stakeholders in reviving many failing brands and categories, along with some clients looking to defend their #1 spot in the markets. Along with a team of dedicated professionals at Vetifly, Abiodun is revolutionizing the way Nigerians move by providing mobility tech solutions that are accessible, faster, and affordable. Today, we're taking us through the trends and innovations in the mobility industry and touching on how businesses can immediately improve agility by embracing these trends. Before we go for that, I just want to break down the way we're going to work in this webinar. So there's going to be about 20 minutes given to each speakers, after which we'll have a question and answer session. So you can actually give us some of your questions in the chat area so we can ask them immediately after they're done presenting their views to us, right? Thank you very much, and we hope you have a good time. So I'm going to pass the baton to Professor Ndubisi now, so you can take over. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Modupe, for that generous introduction. It's quite a moment and a wonderful opportunity to come here to have a conversation on business agility and how we can actually build companies that are agile and can help us to accomplish the mission of our firm. So let me begin by sharing my slide here. And if you can see that, please just, you could just confirm, somebody could just type that you can see the slide. Thank you. Okay. So the topic here is building. Okay, great. So you can see that. So it's building agility in companies. And when we're talking about agility, basically looking at the whole names and constructs of organizing factors of production in order to essentially accomplish the specific mission that we have set out a business to accomplish. And I'll begin by showing you that one of the most important elements when we are looking at agility in firms is how we can actually build and work as a team. In other words, we're talking about collaboration. Agility basically means how efficiently can we look at all those factors of production, bring them together as a team and as a people, and then go out and execute whatever we say we want to do in that company. We know this man called Usain Bolt. He is the fastest man in the world. He holds the 100 meters record in athletics, about 9.58 seconds. But there is also something you realize when you look at the right-hand side, that Usain Bolt actually outperforms his individual record when he runs with other Jamaicans. In other words, in 100 meters, he records 9.58 seconds. But on 4x100 meters relay, the average time the record is 9.26 seconds. So what we are seeing here is that agility does not mean running alone. Agility does not mean just doing your own thing in that company. Agility basically means looking at how you can actually outperform your personal best by actually bringing other elements that will help you make that. So Usain Bolt beats his personal record when he works with other 3 Jamaicans. And this is a very critical element for us in farms. As we work in companies, how can we become better team members and bring that agility that we need to outperform our personal best? So let me take you back to one of the most important elements in market system. What is the mission of our company? Because before we talk about business agility, we have to look at the whole nexus and constructs of mission of farms. Why are we in business? Why are we in companies? Of course, the reason why we are in business is because there is a friction in the market. Frictions are problems that customers have. Frictions are the things that we have set out to do in that particular business. And in every business, of course, we have demand and supply. Every market system, we have demand and supply. The market systems are inherently imperfect. Because market systems are inherently imperfect, there needs to be a perturbation. And that perturbation is what we call companies. So you have demand and supply. You have customers and producers. They don't usually have the mechanism for them to come into a near perfect equilibrium point for transaction to take place. And because of that imperfection, something needs to come into play. Just like giving this example, DBC has landed in Lagos, and we assume there is no restaurants in Lagos because there is no company that offers the services that restaurants offer. I have only one option. Begin to knock at every door in Lagos looking for somebody who has food to sell. You realize at the same time I'm knocking at doors looking for people who have food to sell. There is also someone who has food somewhere who is also hoping that I'll knock at his or her door. Most times I may not be lucky, and that person may also not be lucky. So because that I cannot identify who has food to sell, and the person who has food to sell may not also be lucky that I'll just suddenly knock on his or her door. I can go hungry, and the person can also waste his or her food. We say that information asymmetry problem has made it nearly impossible for business transactions to take place. So how do we solve that kind of problem? That's what companies are established for. Mama Kemi wakes up in the morning, say, I'm going to start off a business, and that business is going to become Mama Kemi's restaurant. Mama Kemi now opens a business. So the next time DBC is hungry, DBC does not need to be knocking at people's door. DBC goes to Mama Kemi's restaurant because Mama Kemi's restaurant is trying to fix a friction, which is when someone is hungry, you need a company that will help you to overcome that friction, which is to eat food. I go to Mama Kemi, I give her more money. She gives me a nkwobi, those good things with Zogo to go with. And magically, she has solved my problem. And I'm giving her money. That money is a compensation for the problem that she has faced for me. That compensation is captured in what companies call revenue. Because revenue is what we pay companies for overcoming the frictions that we have. The same construct applies in any market ordinance that we know. You have 1 million naira with you there in Lagos. You don't know what to do with it because you've done everything you needed to do with money. But you are looking for somebody you can lend that money. And you are hoping that when you lend that money, after 12 months, the person pays you an interest of 10%. At the same time, you're looking for somebody to lend that money. There is also somebody who has a poultry business, who needs also to borrow 1 million. There is the possibility that if there is no banking institution or banking ordinance or anything called company in the financial services sector, you may not find that individual. That individual may not discover you. So you still have your 1 million. That person is also looking for 1 million, but no transaction takes place because of market information asymmetry. But you know what happens? A young lady wake up and say, we're going to start up a bank. We call it the Rockstar Baby Banks. So they open up a bank. You take that 1 million, you go to the bank, give to them. And then they give you that 10% interest. The person who needed 1 million for that poultry business comes to them. They take that 1 million and give to that person. They now charge 17% as interest rate. The delta of 7 is the friction cost they have overcome, and they are to be compensated by that 7%. So that is what it's all about in the vision of farm. It's the same thing that works across any sector in anything that we do. So the whole concept of market system is how do you bring agility? As Mama Kemi is putting that, as that banking company is actually delivering that service. That the way you now operate makes it possible that you may be the best in that particular community. It means you need to have what we call capabilities. Capabilities are things that make you unique. Capabilities are the inherent skill set as a business that you possess, because the capabilities help you to overcome the frictions, the problems that customers have. And if you go back to A.O. Lawal in economics in secondary school, you learn about what they call the factors of production. Learn about knowledge, entrepreneurial capitalism, capital and labor. When you recombine, organize all these elements, you now build better capabilities that will now help you to overcome those frictions. Inside these elements, you will find agility in farms. Knowledge, how do you create new body of knowledge in that company to overcome problems that customers have? How do you take risk? How do you adjust? How do you mutate when necessary in order to capture the emerging trends that our customers are experiencing? And of course, how do you also acquire other factors of production? The ones you do not have, capital makes it possible. Then how do you now have the executors of business models? The supremacy of business model and market system is evident. The human systems are going to be the executors of those business models. So how do you bring young people that are brilliant to help you to go into the market to overcome those frictions? So in market systems, we have encapsulated these things into three: the processes, the tools, and the people. The people are going to help you make sure that everything you want to do in that business will come to pass. You need tools in order to get those things done. You need processes, methodologies, frameworks, models, capabilities that you need to organize as workplace systems in order to get. Building business agility encapsulated within these things. You have to have agility in human elements, you have agility in your processes, you have agility in the tools you use. But when you talk about knowledge, this one can have been in the economics textbook. But knowledge is seen as the hallmark of all these elements. The body of knowledge here is not just talking about the theoretical construct of knowledge. It's also understand the shift in market dynamics, because your capabilities is usually correlated with the ability to create new body of knowledge. When you have those capabilities, you can fix frictions. Agility in farms, you can look at them from 4 different elements: deliver fast and responsibly, delivery agility. How do you deliver things? How do you move from one place to the other? Because everything we do in commerce is nothing but supply chain. Innovate and disrupt. Looking at products, how do you anticipate the changes in the market? How do you now innovate? How do you bring new things into the market? And when necessary, how do you adapt your organization? Building better culture in order to make sure that our company thrives. And how do you lead through complexity? Your capacity, your ability to manage these three interrelated, interwoven constructs. To now define how far you will go. You know, it's always magical when you look at companies. A new CEO comes in, things begin to change in a company. But those were things we thought were not possible for many quarters. But new person comes in, new results begin. What is happening here is that person has come with a new business model. And that new business model will change most of these factors. So as we do that, we now see that bringing that agility looks at many elements. You can see you have to have the ability to adapt. You have the ability to respond to the needs of the customers. You have to also have capacity to drive change, lead change. You have to continuously be in a position to have a competitive advantage. The competitive advantage means you want to always be the guy that has an upper hand. Of course, we're talking about legal upper hand, where you can win. But I cannot talk about business agility without talking about the most important element of business agility, human systems. How do we build high-performing teams? Because at the end of the day, all business models and the mission of firms are executed by human beings. Communication is a very critical part. Within that communication, you have clarity and support to build your successful operations. And then for you to drive engagement, you need to look at the empathy. It's a very critical part of this, and build trust. Just like when you want to build a house, the foundation of any business is communication. And when you are building a house in civil engineering, they have what they call the DPC, the dam-proof course. If you do not get the DPC right, that building is not going to be a very good one. It's going to collapse. So you need to have that communication, because when you can build a solid communication regime in a company, many beautiful pillars that you need in order to have a company that outperforms the past is going to be possible. That clarity has to be built on solid communication. That support system has to be built, that empathy and trust upon which we can now put those flaws of operations and engagements. When you do them, you begin to create what I have called a new basis of competition. The new basis of competition is looking at firms, companies that do not focus on the needs of their customers, that do not focus on the expectations of their customers, but they go into the perceptions of your customers. The needs of customers are things they know they need, but those things are never enough. The expectation of customers are things you know they need, but you go beyond. So let's say, for instance, you've given somebody electricity from coal, but that woman is an environmental activist. You have met her needs, but you have not met her expectation. Because as an environmental activist, she may expect you to give her electricity from renewable energy source. The best companies in the world, the companies are the masters of agility and market systems. They are companies that work at the level of perceptions. They become unbounded in any factor that is defined within that sector. The iPhone, you can call it, plays at the level of perception. Tesla plays at the level of perception because other car companies are trying to come along. But every day, Tesla is changing the rules of the game through innovation. And by changing the rules of the game, everyone is lost. That is why the market cap of Tesla is bigger than all the other major car companies combined. Yet, the revenue of Tesla is about $50-something billion, while other companies is more than 1.3 trillion. How can you be bigger, even when your revenue is less than 10% of the others? It has to do with perception. It has to do with the capacity of building agility in your business, that your customers, they become fans. When a company can build fandom in markets, you win. And when fandom comes, beautiful things happen in companies. And what do we mean by fandom? What do we mean by taking your customers to become fans? It means taking them to a new realm where they never imagined was even a possibility. A young man has just told the boss, "Sir, They are going to launch the next iPhone next week. I will be out of work. I'll take a day out of work. He is paid hourly. He knows the implication that if he doesn't come to work, he will not be paid. Then don't worry. 4 a.m. is already at Best Buy where they buy electronics in New York City. It's a winter morning, extremely very cold, usually. Whenever Apple does this thing, usually during the winter period. He leaves his house, 4 a.m. waiting on the queue. 9 a.m. Best Buy opens. He takes out what he would have made in 2 weeks in his credit card, give it to Best Buy. They swipe it, they give him the iPhone. He comes home, he wires his house, goes to Twitter, Instagram, Facebooking, say people, I got the latest iPhone. That guy is not a customer, he is a fan. And because Apple makes many of those fans, he has created a fandom. It has created a fandom, and that is why the biggest and the most respected company in the world. Tesla does the same thing. When you drive a Tesla, you're not driving a car. The next level of ascension, you can see it in your hand. Because even when you come with a car, you don't even know what a car will do tomorrow, because they can recoup it through software in the night. And tomorrow, what was not possible yesterday becomes possible. That agility in the business model is why Tesla charges subscription. When you bring that car home, you still have to keep paying for it. But when you buy your Toyota, you never have to do that. Agility is not just moving something from one place to the other. It's also looking at the business model you run. And when you do that, great things begin to happen. So when you have that capacity of bringing agility as part of your business, you can now take your company to become a category king. Category king companies are companies that are ruthlessly pragmatic. They deliver the way they promise, that our product will work the way it was set out to run. They have this perception with customers, and they are also inspiring companies, and they bring perceptively innovation. In other words, just they give you something that no other company there in the world around you can do. And building such brings a high quality of vision. I recall vividly when I was still in secondary school, and 1992, still in secondary school, and you get into a bank in Lagos, let's say First Bank of Old, of course. You say, oh, you cannot withdraw this money in this branch. You have to go to the specific branch where your parents, your brother opened that particular account. The Diamond Bank came and offered what they call Diamond Integrated Banking System. Of course, unfortunately, Diamond Bank's no more. You now open a bank account in one branch of Diamond Bank. In any branch, you can actually access that money. That is what we call perception in the delivering of service, because it gave people what was never thought to be possible, that you can travel from Kano to Lagos and you run out of money. You don't have to return back to Kano. In the old Union Bank in Nigeria, you still can just go to any branch of Diamond Bank and collect that money, irrespective of the specific branch where you opened it. Perceptively innovative brings the sign of agility. Customer perception, like Amazon does, is a sign of agility. Ruthless pragmatism, like Indomie noodles does. When you taste no Indomie, you know you've tasted Indomie. And that is the reason why no man or woman has conquered and come close to that territory, because Indomie is a real deal. And they inspire. They make you see the world better in the way you see it. Everyone hates it, everyone likes it, but DSTV inspires people when they carry that remote to touch it, because beautiful things are coming to that remote. So, gentlemen and ladies, as I'm rounding up here, every efficient business will optimize time and other resources, because the purpose of and the mission of firms is to feed market frictions. And doing that means building agility, driving the speed of that agility so that you change into where you need to change into. You adapt where you need to adapt. You adjust also when you need to adjust. And I can always simplify it. Why not fly? Why not fly? Because when you fly, you have the bigger space in the world. And we are talking about Vetifly. Thank you so much, gentlemen and ladies. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. We really appreciate the time you put into define agility and the many ways businesses can stay on top of their game. We are particularly interested in hearing the next speaker, who is Abiodun Olaleko, country manager for Vetifly in Nigeria. He's also going to be bringing on the points where we'll be talking about the trends that are happening in the world of mobility and how businesses can position to be able to take advantage of these trends and definitely come out on top or stay agile. Thank you very much. We can see your screen here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. I'm very privileged to have this for you. I'll take about 10 minutes of that. I'm thinking you essentially two trends in how mobility impacted recently, and also how Vetifly is trying to have a role in impacting these trends as well. And there's a lot of trends generally that they say have impacted mobility and how organizations see themselves as being agile or not agile. And I think one cannot start without talking about COVID. COVID has obviously had a lot of impact on businesses in terms of how we work, where we work from, also in terms of we see some very savory practices also, like some companies whereby you see one or two individuals having one or two jobs across different continents, which is not obviously advisable at all. But one thing, the biggest impact to say from COVID has obviously been working from home. I mean, I watched a documentary last year where we saw.
Excuse me, please. I don't think the audio is very great. I'm sorry. I hope. Modipe, are you hearing? Yeah. Please.
Yeah.
Is it better now?
Abe is working to fix his audio.
Is it better now?
It's better
yes,
now.
perfect.
Yes.
Better.
Perfect. Sorry about that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, my Apple earphones are not obviously the best. Apologies for that. So I think there's a lot of trends I would say have impacted the mobility industry over the last few years. One cannot avoid talking about COVID. COVID impacted a lot of people's movements to the offices, whether they're working in the office or not. Even things like pollution. I mean, I saw a documentary last year of a village in India where they're always behind the Himalayan mountains. But because of lack of people moving around during the lockdown, the pollution reduced. We saw people could, for the first time, actually see the Himalayan mountains. In places like Nigeria, people were obviously locked down at home for most of the time, across the world as well. Although our impact was not as much as we saw in other parts of Asia or Europe, some of us are still working, going to the offices once in a while. Other trends we're seeing were accessibility through technology. The likes of Uber, Bolt really changed the way people move, especially when taking taxis in Nigeria. I'm sure you all remember the days of trying to hail a kabu to go for a meeting. You don't own a car yourself. You're trying to catch a taxi to go for a meeting, and you hail a kabu. The kabu stops. It's full of people. You have to squeeze in. It's not even sick. Sometimes we had issues with what you call one chance. They take you somewhere, and you've God rest their souls, and people were kidnapped. A lot of things happened that were not obviously the best advisable things. But through technology, the likes of Uber came along, Bolt came along. It also meant that people don't have to own, means people like Uber don't have to own taxis to have one of the biggest mobility companies in the world. So the likes of any average Joe on the street can put his car on the Uber platform or the Bolt platform, and essentially he's a business owner. And what we saw is a lot of businesses, obviously, as you all know, register their businesses with Uber, Bolt. So a lot of employees use Uber, Bolt because it's a safer way to move. And it's also quite affordable at the same time as well. we saw businesses like shuttlers, trips, where companies that used to buy business buses, for company cars, there's no need anymore to have those assets, which also makes a business that has little expenditure on capex or assets is a business to me that I always believe is best placed to react to tough business conditions. Imagine those companies that used to have like 10 company buses back in the days. Nowadays, people just use these other companies I mentioned, like shuttlers or trips, through a very innovative technology. They hire the buses when they need the buses, and they don't have that expenditure on their capex. One thing we're also seeing happening in Nigeria, which to be fair could have happened a lot longer in the past, but we're seeing it happening, especially in Lagos State, is with the metro lines. Cities like London, London being the financial hub of the UK, a number of people don't have to live within London, but they commute to London every single day to work. They live in places like outside London, in Surrey, in Kent, and they catch a train from Kent or from Surrey, and in London, they're in the middle of London within less than 30 minutes, sometimes less than an hour. It means that you don't have to live within London to work in London. In Nigeria, people living in Ogun State, Ibadan, they leave their homes by 4 o'clock in the morning because of traffic. Those living on the mainland, work on the island, I'm sure you all know the challenges you face with that. But what we're seeing now is in Lagos State, for example, with the blue rail, the red rail, once those services are in place, fingers crossed by end of the year, we believe for sure that will help, that will ease a lot of the traffic we're seeing on the roads in Lagos. Lagos is one of the most stressful places to drive in the world. I've driven in 4 continents in the world, but when I was younger, I used to enjoy driving in Lagos. At my old age now, driving in Lagos is stressful to me because the stress of the traffic, dangerous driving, the bad roads. But with the likes of the railway lines in place, and obviously the likes of Vetifly, people don't have to people don't have to bother themselves going through traffic anymore to get to their offices every day. One site I'm sure most of you that, like I mentioned, live on the mainland but work on the island would see. There's nothing more annoying than going to work on the island. You start work at 9 o'clock and you wake up by 3 o'clock in the morning, and you all get ready to sit in your car, and you sit on that bridge for a good few hours in the morning. And you're seeing the other side of the bridge is free. I mean, to me, that's one of the most demoralizing thoughts in my life, because I mean, there's many jobs I actually declined when I used to live in the mainland or the island, because I cannot go through that stress of commuting every single day. Unfortunately, as Professor said, people need to have high-performing teams. But how can you have a high-performing team when you spend half of your time in traffic, frustrated? Blood pressure is one of the biggest killers of people in Nigeria, as most of us know. And it's not just for big people like myself that don't look after their weight very well. It's for even, you see a lot of slim people, but obviously because of the stress and the pressure of commuting in Lagos alone, you have constant headaches, your blood pressure goes through the roof. Getting to the office, you have to get a change of clothes, make sure that you don't get to office sweating because you don't have AC in your car. And unfortunately for us in Lagos, when the bridge closed down last year, it was even worse, but for sure, we're wasting a lot of time. The time you can spend, kissing your kids good morning in the morning as they're going to school, you already left your house. Some of us will leave the nannies, look after the kids, take them to school and cool. That's not the way we should live our lives. And unfortunately, because of the current traffic situation in Lagos, a lot of us have to go through this every single day. When the blue rail, the red rails are in place, we hope these traffic should reduce for sure. But the whole point is that with this kind of stress people go through every single day going to work, especially those even in the mainland, then obviously I'm sure you all know the story of going back home again as well. Some people actually stay in the office till 9 o'clock in the evening, not because they have things to do, but because it is actually quicker for them to leave the office by 9 o'clock and get home within 30, 40 minutes than leave the office at 5 or 6 and spend 3-4 hours in traffic, burn fuel. It's bad for the cars, it's bad for their blood pressure as well. And unfortunately, when you're looking at traveling in traffic, it's the waste of money as well, not just going to work in the morning. I always wonder, when I go for meetings in Lagos, in the middle of the day, there's traffic everywhere. So for someone that's lived in maybe in Dubai or UK, you only see traffic in UK, rush hour when you're going to work, rush hour when you get back from work. 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, middle of the day, there's no traffic. But in Nigeria, there's traffic almost any time of the day. And if you look at it in terms of cost for a business, we looked at a case study. We're looking at the consultants, for example, likes of the big four consultants. If you look at their productivity in terms of costs, you have a senior manager that spends 4 hours in traffic. That's at least $800 in lost productivity. These consultants charge per hour, but then you'll be charging your clients, for something you spend 2 hours to do, you spend 10 hours getting there. For example, when you have to travel to Ibadan or travel to Ogun State, because of traffic, you're wasting a lot of time that you could be charging your clients less. You look at a CEO, for example, in traffic. When I used to work for a big telco in Nigeria, the telco, whenever you had meetings at 4 o'clock, and I had a flight to catch, those meetings were always canceled because the office was in Ikoyi. And he knows that he has to be, no matter how much you have your sirens or your escort vehicles, it's even stressful going through traffic with the escort vehicles. But for those CEOs that are spending time in traffic, it's lost productivity. And again, it's not even that safe driving through traffic with sirens and escort vehicles. If you've done it before, you all know what I'm talking about. And we went to see one of the free trade zones once. I went to the MD of the free trade zone. I was in the siren, and my blood pressure was through the roof for that 1 hour journey because constantly braking, stopping, and it's not even safe as well. And it's even worse when you have to travel interstate by road. Sometimes because of traffic, you have to end up spending the night in the location because it's too late to drive back. You don't want to risk driving through those bad roads where you might miss a pothole, and God forbid your car goes off the road. Most of you know we have on average 24 accidents per day because of poorly maintained roads. Which is why for us, innovation to fix technology, to fix mobility in Nigeria, it's not like the next level innovation you're seeing with the likes of Tesla. It's just simple, basic things. Helicopters, as you know, have been around for a long period of time. Even cars that you see in Ubers and co, it doesn't really take a lot of innovation to fix these problems. Unfortunately, as well, when you have to travel to these locations, like I said, you miss because of the travel time period. They have to book a hotel. Again, people are spending too much money booking hotels because they can't travel back from Ibadan to Lagos because meeting finishes late at 8 o'clock at night. And they're thinking, I want to risk the road, or I'll just spend the night in the hotel, which works for some people, but it doesn't work for those who want to see their family. So again, apart from the insecurities going by road, wasted time traveling, for business owners and for busy executives, time in traffic is lost business opportunities. I'm sure you've all tried having meetings on the car, even if you have a driver. You try to have conference calls in the car, there's bad network, there's always a patch on the Thermaland Bridge that you always lose reception, for me in particular. So, you can't have meetings in the car. It's not even stress. It's not even stress. It's very stressful as well because you get a noise from the traffic, from the horns blaring. So it doesn't matter how comfortable your car is. If you're in traffic, you're not as productive as you can be being in your office or getting to your location faster than what you're currently doing on the road. Unfortunately, I know I'm talking about the blue rail and the red rail in Lagos State. When you look at what happened recently, in Kaduna, the train, who would have thought that there'll be bombing rail lines? It's just shocking. But unfortunately, Nigeria, especially with the elections coming as well, we all have this trend. We all see this trend in Nigeria. When there's elections coming, we don't know why, but things always go very, very crazy in the country. Kidnappings go up, robbers go up. I had a colleague of mine that works in my wife's office. One of my friends work in my wife's office. He comes from Maja to VI every day. He leaves his house at 5 o'clock. This is not even interstate. This is even within Lagos, within the island. And the guy got robbed at Shogutedo just last Friday. And they actually put a gun to his head. The poor guy, a big pot belly, got out of the car and he legged it, as fast as he could. Thank God he got away safely. But the point is that when you're going by road to Ibadan or to Ogun State or going from Abuja to Kaduna, well, I see now there's an increase in kidnappings, which is not good. It's not good because obviously when they kidnap you, you're going to pay a lot of money ransom. You're better off just flying a private jet to get there. We also saw the case of the bullion van getting attacked in Ibadan recently, carrying money, and this bullion van was totally decimated. God rest their souls. The policeman we saw, also did not make that out to that attack as well. So which is why we are seeing a lot, they're reverting to us now, not via road. And the worst one was last year, last year, I believe it was, when we had NSAS, all the roads were blocked, especially those working on the mainland, on the island. We saw people that could not literally get home from work that day, and they were stuck in the offices overnight. Again, we had a lot of calls from people saying they're trying to get out of Lagos. They have private jets at the airport. They can't even get out of VI. They need to fly with helicopters. As Prof said, fly is the best way to do it. I mean, our approach is very simple. We use technology to give people access to the safest ways to move. For now, we're starting with the helicopters at a very affordable price, all through a seamless digital technology, our app, the Vetifly app. And for us, we're not a helicopter operator, we're a tech company. So for us, we partner with the best operators we have out there in the country. Those that will give our customers the best service and at the price that they can actually afford to pay as well. The way the app works, you simply download the app, or you can call us if you're not inclined to use the app to book. We pick you up. You can either pick you up from your house, drop you at the helipad, or you get it yourself. And we literally fly you there in a matter of minutes. So, for example, now we'll fly you from Ikeja to VI in less than 7 minutes. Which you can't do that by road. You can't even do that by boat. That's the fastest way to move in Lagos right now. We're flying people to the Holy Ghost camp tomorrow in less than 12 minutes from Ikeja or from VI. But for us, all this is booked through the app or again, through our call center. So just to wrap up quickly, I'll show you what some of our clients are currently doing. So we currently work with one of the biggest miners in Nigeria, based in Osun State. How are they doing things differently themselves? They had to move one of the biggest investors from a big African bank to their mining site in Osun State. The typical journey is that they'll take about 3-4 hours to go there by road, 3-4 hours come back as well, and they have to carry gold with them. So an Oyibo man carrying gold in a car with police escort is asking for trouble going to a mining site, right? So they flew with us, took them less than an hour to get there. They arrived safely with no attack. They were not worried about any armed robbers attacking them on the road. And the great thing for them is that they're able to attend the key meeting in Lagos that day at 4 p.m. Again, we save them a lot of time and mobility because they're able to save time on the road by flying with us. I have a very, very quick clip of helicopters that shows you why helicopters can land anywhere. This is a site in Osun State. Yeah, so they're excited staff of the company seeing the helicopter arriving. So this helicopter ride took them literally about an hour versus 4 hours by road. They landed stress-free, no bad roads. Again, if it's bad weather, we will not fly and risk anyone's lives. But essentially, I'll fast forward very quickly and I'll show you what the landing site actually looked like. Just a piece of land, a piece of sand. So again, with mobility of helicopters, it takes you almost anywhere in Nigeria and faster than you can ever do with the road as well. Another client we had, a client that has an FPSO just outside of Lagos. They normally go by boats, which takes 3 hours. But again, they have some key investors from the UK around. And again, by boats, the Oyibo guys, it's not very safe these days, as you all know. And again, they had a meeting in Lagos at 1 p.m. that same day. There was no way they could make it going by boat. So they came to us, and obviously we flew them there within like about 40 minutes to that site. And they're back by 12:30, and they attended that meeting in VI that day at 1 p.m. Everybody's happy. And the funny thing is that it's the same cost that I paid using the boats, using our helicopter service. Another client, we had one of the biggest tech companies, in fact, if not the biggest in Nigeria, when they opened a new office in Ikoyi not too long ago. So the whole point was, okay, yes, we have some of our guests in town, wanted to see a site of Lagos they've never seen before. So simply, we flew them that day around Lagos for 30 minutes. They loved the experience. But then the next day, they called us saying that, look, we have a challenge. We have a beach event that the guys need to be at. But the challenge is that if they go to the beach event, they have to leave by 2 o'clock because it's at a place called Ilashe. And if they leave Ilashe by 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock to come back, to rush back to the island to catch the rush hour traffic on the road back to the airport. So because they used the helicopter the previous day, they're like, why are we going to rush back? Let's go to the beach. will leave VI by 6 o'clock, which they did. And within 6 o'clock, they came back to VI by 6 o'clock. And this is them taking off. Within 7 minutes, they're in the airport. So that day, we're able to put the team together. The managers were able to attend the social event with their teams in Nigeria. And they caught their flight and they stayed in our lounge for 2 hours because they're there so early at the airport. One more example is a case of our Holy Ghost service. So starting from tomorrow, for example, all of you that live in Lagos know about the challenges when Holy Ghost services starts, because all the roads from Ikeja going forward are blocked. You know, even if you're not going to camp, the traffic affects you. So instead of spending 3-4 hours in traffic, especially if you live on the island, sometimes people don't even go to the office that day because they're going to camp later in the day. So guys say, I'm working from home today because, you know, I can't leave the office at 3. I have to get to camp service. Or sometimes, you know, they have to drive back in the morning, you know, which again, you all know is only God that, it's only God's blessings that brings us safely at night when we're driving Nigeria at the road. So for us, we're able to fly you from VI or from Ikeja to the camp within 12 minutes at a price that people can actually afford to pay as well, you know, because everyone's life is worth more than $150, I believe. So again, it avoids wasting time in traffic. It gives you more time you can even leave the office on time at the right time, which is 6 p.m. or 5 p.m. And you get to camp faster than people going by road. And again, you avoid the dangers of going by road, which is very, very key. You know, so I mean, some of you are wondering, you know, how can you come on board with this? Why we've launched Vetifly essentially, because we believe that Nigeria road, moving by road is not the safest mode of transport anymore. It's not the fastest, and it will not make it the most agile as a business. So that's why we launched our Vetifly for Enterprise. It allows businesses to subscribe to our package. So starting from later in May, first week of June, these packages will go live, which allows you to fly from VI to the airport for $150, allows you to go to other parts of Nigeria at affordable prices. And all you simply have to do is just to have a simple balance in our wallet, which we'll send to you after the presentation. So I don't start selling to you on this call. We're not here to sell to you guys. But you get different plans. We have a bronze plan, the platinum plan, and the gold plan. And essentially, you subscribe to the services, you get a lot of other benefits beyond just the helicopter service as well. These are some of the partners that we have on board as well. We have most of the private banks are working with us right now because they have a lot of HNIs that they want to offer a service, or they care for their needs, they care of the challenges they're facing in Nigeria. Henceforth, working with most of the big private banks in Nigeria. And lots of other individuals as well, not just the rich people. I mean, our services are not for the super premium. In the past, only the super people could afford helicopter rides. But now, the average man, the C-class, C1, C2 can now afford $150 to get to church faster and safer than they've done before. And thank you all for your time. And Modipe, if you want to host the floor with any questions. Thank you very much, guys.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Odun. Thank you for sharing the insights as to what the trend has been in the past few years in mobility and how businesses can actually take advantage of these trends to help them improve their responsiveness as businesses. So now we're going to be going into our question and answers stage. We have a few questions for Prof, and we also have a few questions for Abiodun. So please, if you have any questions, I can still quickly read through some of them and then you get answers. Just drop them in the chat area and I'll be able to get to them. So the first question is to Prof, and it's pretty much, we want to know what are some of the most agile businesses you know, and what was their game plan to be able to achieve their level of responsiveness?
Thank you so much, Modipe, once again. And yeah, let me just name one local and maybe one global. So locally, I like Indomie noodles. I mean, trying to actually use a non-technology company here so that we can understand that this is not just about technology. If you look at Indomie noodles, they have demonstrated an uncommon level of agility. You look at when Dangote noodles came to Indomie noodles. Indomie noodles quickly did what they have to do to make sure that they remain the category king in the noodle business. You look at our business, the typical things that when Dangote goes into any sector that make Dangote end up becoming a winner, Indomie noodles master those constructs, making it nearly impossible for anybody to dislodge them from their market's #1 position. So either in leadership, either in transportation, either in logistics, either in supply chain, either in the team. So at the end of the day, even Dangote noodles had to sell to Indomie noodles. So it's a company that we need to learn how to win a market, become a category king, and sustain our competitive advantage market. So globally, I can see a company like Apple. And an Apple is a very, very agile firm. Not necessarily because Apple is a highly technical company. In electrical engineering, we say that Apple makes all those fashion patents. It's always all those. They are not as technically, solid as IBM, where you make transistors, integrated circuits, and things like that at a higher level, or quantum computing. But one thing you learn from Apple is that when they see the smartphone, they like it. They figure out how to build it better than the guy that invented it. They got BlackBerry out. When they look at the Walkman from Sony, they got into it through iPod, and they took Sony out. When they went into the smartwatch, they took Pebble out. So there is something that is totally different and unique in this company that makes it able to learn quickly, build new body of knowledge, and then reorganize the factors of production by having the leadership, the management, and the whole labor force for them to outperform even the first movers in that particular category. So agility makes it possible that it continues to win. So I'll just give those two companies just because of time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. The next question is for Abiodun, and it's pretty much it's from Wasiu Olabode, and he wants to know what the company is doing to actually make this service affordable to the public. This is he actually said that due to the cost of running air transportation, I believe this person has an understanding of what it means to actually be in the industry. So they're asking, how is Vetifly able to make the service affordable for everyone?
Yeah, thank you for that question, Vetifly. I'm happy you said you also want innovation. The truth is this, right? If you look at the pricing we have versus the prices currently attainable in the market, people often question that the prices don't make any sense. How are you pricing at this low price? So already the prices we have are the rock bottom you can get within aviation. But the only thing that can help us over time is with the volume. Once we have maxed out with the volume, then we can see how with economies of scale we can now start reducing our prices. But it's not something I would imagine happening anytime soon. I'll be very honest with you, because the aviation fuel increased. We're one of the only operators that has not increased our prices back to the customer yet. So we've not passed on the cost to the customers. And again, we don't just charge it, but we actually charge the direct as well. Because it's seat sharing, right? Not many other companies will offer you the chance to share a helicopter ride together with people. So we are looking at ways we can always be cheaper for everyone. But it only takes support from users. Once we have volume, a massive volume, then I'm sure we'll have a situation where we have more aircrafts that we can start dropping our prices for sure. But otherwise, aviation is not cheap, unfortunately. It's not cheap, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you. So with as little as $150, you can actually cut $4 to $5 at the time. And this is actually worth it if you look at the number of productive hours you're going to give away in traffic, right? So I'm going to go to the next question, and that's from someone else trying to find out, Olufemi Ogunke, trying to find out if we offer interstate services and which states are on our radar right now.
Yes, so I mean, we definitely traveled interstate already. We've flown a few clients. We flew a few clients, to the burial of the late former MD of Dangote and Okene recently in Okogi State. You believe helicopters can fly almost anywhere in Nigeria. And there's refueling points in Abuja, Port Harcourt. So long as you can refuel, you have a 3 hour. We can fly about 3 hours before we refuel. So simply, we can fly from Lagos to anywhere across Nigeria for sure. But in terms of the shuttle service, it's only available within Lagos. Once we have enough demand from people that want to fly from Lagos to Ibadan on a daily basis, or Ibadan to Abeokuta on a daily basis, Lagos to Badagry on a daily basis, that's in Lagos, but Lagos to the other parts of the country, we can look at ways of offering it at a lower price, similar to how they do it with private jets already, like likes of Bristol have done, where you can share private jet with other people from Lagos and pay just about $200,000 or $100,000 to $200,000 per seat. So we can fly across other states, but again, it's all depending on the customer demand as well for us to open up those routes. Similarly, we only started flying to the camp, Holy Ghost camp, where we got a lot of demand from people to fly to that part of Lagos. So once we have demand to fly to Ilashe Beach, for example, we'll open that route as well. Similarly, any other state outside of Lagos that needs us to come and service, we'll definitely open up those routes as well once the demand is there.
Okay, thank you very much, Abi. I have one more question for Prof before I come back to you. And Prof, this is quite a long question, and pretty much what we want to get here, I'm going to try and summarize it. As a business in Nigeria, a good number of our orders are external facing, and most of them are unpredictable. So how do you think a business can position to thrive and remain agile even in such situations?
Yeah, so it's a very challenging one because there could be a policy somersault. But one thing I would say here is you build something that looks like a matrix. And in that matrix, you have what they call scenario mapping. Scenario mapping is basically a construct where you said, okay, I have a low risk, I have mid risk, I have high level risk. And if this particular scenario takes off, this is going to do the implication of what I have to do. So let me give you an example. On one of the startups that we supported in Tequila Capital, it was doing business in cryptocurrency. So we asked the young man, they had about 27 staff in VI, Lagos there, that if you look at what the Central Bank of Nigeria is doing, there is the possibility that one afternoon there could just be a hammer so that you guys may actually have to fold. So they built a very big playbook. They registered the business in Dubai, also did everything so that if the Nigerian operation is affected in just within a week, they can move over to Dubai. So when that happened, what actually happened the next week, they just moved the business to Dubai. So the thing here is that it could be a very challenging environment, but that does not mean that Dangote does not make more profits than the budget of Abia State. So the opportunities are so huge. And the reason why those opportunities are there, because there's so many people who don't know how to come in. So, but those that figure it out are going to be those that will win the trophy. So all what I would say here in look at your business, build the scenarios of potential risk elements you think are possible, and then find a way what you will do at every phase, depending on the severity of that risk, so that you don't just wake up in the morning and you're unprepared. Inshallah, I tell people, even assume that when you go to work in the morning, the generator is not working. In my office, where we have first generator, second generator, the national grid is the backup. It's the second backup. So that is a kind of scenario mapping, because you don't want to have a customer program. All of a sudden, you say the second generator is not working or the first. So build your mapping. And if you don't know how to do that, talk to your friends, especially in the consulting world, Most of them are very good. They already have the data sets for Nigeria in cities. They can provide you a solid roadmap how you can overcome some of those paralysis. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you for that contribution. So we have quite a number of questions related to helicopter services, and I'm just going to try as much as possible to take 3 in the next 5 minutes, and then we will be able to go off. Okay, so someone wants to know what happens when that people go in different places, and also is it $150 per person or for the whole trip?
Yes, hi. So we have 2 types of services. One is called the lift service, and the other one is called the charter service. So the lift services will be basically going from the airport to Victoria Island. So if you're both going to VI from Ikeja, no issues at all. We'll be paired together, right? If you want to go to different places, then it's most likely maybe you're probably chartering the flight. Then obviously those will be separate trips entirely, because if, for example, I'm going to Ogun State and Motupa is going to Ibadan, we'll be separate customers because we cannot both fly at the same time to Ibadan. We're not doing this kind of services yet. The only lift service we're offering will be from the airport to VI, or lift services going to camp, to the Redeemed Holy Ghost camp, from either VI or from Ikeja. If you're going to different locations, the chances that you're most likely going to have to charter the helicopter for that. And then even for that, our rates are by far the cheapest within the market, where we offer as low as $6,000 per hour versus a market average of $8,000, $10,000 per hour. So my point is that, yes, if you're going different places, you most likely will be chartering the helicopter individually, not sharing it. However, if you are both together, and maybe, for example, maybe Motupa and I know each other, and Motupa is going to Kogi, and I'm going to Abuja, all from Lagos. There's no reason why we both cannot share the cost together. We'll pay Vetifly, they'll drop me first, and we'll drop Motupa last, for example. So if you are sharing a charter flight with your friends or your businesses, that can also work as well. But the lift service is normally going to dedicated routes that you have to share rides to get there, if that's clear.
Okay, thank you very much, Abiodun. There's one more question, and that's related to the health sector. So what this person wants to know is how soon we're looking to invest in it in terms of air ambulance or medical evacuation. Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, so it's definitely an area. It's definitely an area we're looking at. So there are already companies in Nigeria. One called Flying Doctors, probably more popular to everybody else. So they use mainly private jets and helicopters if it's obviously remote sites. In the oil and gas industry, they're already using helicopters before we even came along. Although we had a situation of one of our clients on an oil and gas facility where they had a sick naval officer on their base, and God save you if a naval officer should pass away on your base, right? So they called us to come and airlift him away that same day. Actually, I think he had a ruptured appendicitis. So they paid us to simply come and carry him from the FPSO flying back to Ikeja. So that service is already something that's available in Nigeria before we came along as well. And we are currently working with a number of HMOs to see how we can also start offering that service as well, beyond what is currently available in the market already.
Okay, thank you very much, Abe. Unfortunately, we have to wrap up the session. It's been very insightful hearing from Professor Ndubisi and also from Abiodun about the things that we need to do as businesses to actually position in a world that is actually very, very fast-paced. We hope that you've been able to learn 1 or 2 things from the insights shared. I know that a couple of people have questions. I know you still have questions. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a particular email address that you can send your questions to. I'm just going to drop it in the chat area for you to actually send your questions. And also I'm going to be dropping a phone number for you to call to actually answer any questions that you may have. Thank you very much for your time with us. It's really, really been insightful. I don't know if you have one or two things to say before I close this round.
I think definitely Prof to close the room for us.
Yeah.
Okay, in the absence of inputs, I'll just be closing this session, and we look forward to having you at the next Vetifly Innovation Series. It's also going to be insightful. Like I mentioned, I just dropped the LinkedIn, the email address that you can send all your questions to. Please ask away. We're here to actually serve you, and we'd love to hear from you, definitely. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.